Hello, all my joyful creators. Welcome, welcome to Funday Monday, part 12 of the Longmire Blanket. I am Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and I'll be your host for today's segment of the Longmire Blanket. And so, as you noticed from the intro, we had a winner from the movie night, and it was Miss Jen Reeves. And so she decided to choose a color, and since we needed two colors, she let Miss Roseann, who came in second place, choose the second color. So Jen chose number 11, and on my chart that is white, so I will be bringing in white today. And then Miss Roseann chose number 8, which on my chart is bright yellow, so I'll be bringing some yellow in. Now, we are going to, so our colors have been chosen for us, and we normally would roll the die to see how many rows we are going to be adding, but we are going to be doing a special stitch today, so we do not need to roll the die because we are going to be adding 9 rows to our blanket today. So how exciting. So if you're ready to get started, let's go ahead. So the first color we're bringing in is our number 11. So whatever your number 11 is the color that you will be bringing in. And again, for me, that is white. So we're going to go ahead and get our color joined on. And I'm going to slip right here on the top of this last double crochet that I made and join my white, which is my number 11. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And just so we're all on the same page, you should have the right side of your work, or front side, however you like to refer to it as. So I'm trying to get the blanket maneuvered. Again, our blanket's getting so big, so I gotta get it folded just right so that you can see what I'm doing. And I can get it in front of the camera here. And while I'm getting adjusted here, just to make sure that we are all on the same page, you should have the front side of your work facing you, or the right side, depending on how you like the terminology. And as I have been, I'm going to wrap my tails around here, and I'm going to secure them in as I go. And for the first 3 rows, we are going to do single crochets. And by the way, the special stitch that we're going to be working today is known as a brick stitch. So how fun and exciting. So the biggest thing I have enjoyed about this blanket is not only learning new stitches, but bringing in stitches that create a texture or depth to the blanket without creating actual texture. So to get our brick stitch started, we are going to start the first 3 rows with single crochet. So right in that same stitch as our chain 1, which here is our chain 1, so that leaves this as our stitch. We're going to go ahead and put a single crochet right in there. And I'm going to make sure I got my tails so I can secure them in. And again, we are just going to go into each stitch all the way down these next 3 rows, working single crochets. And so I'm going to work enough stitches in here that I can secure these tails in and cut off the excess. And I'm just going to do a couple more, and then we'll be at that point. And then I'm going to share some details with you, and then I'm going to leave you to crochet 3 rows of single crochets. I got a little bit more room here, so I'm just going to do a couple more single crochets to secure those tails in just a little bit more. And that should be good enough. So I'm going to give it one more little tug. Make sure I have nothing peeking out, and I don't. I'm going to trim off the rest of those tails. And so I'm going to grab my notes real quick and take a quick look. So these 3 rows that we're going to be doing will be rows 67, 68, and 69. And then at the end of row 69, we will come back and meet up with one another after we've done 3 rows of single crochets. So of course, when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1, turn your work a single crochet in that same stitch as the chain 1, and work single crochets all the way down. And you're going to do that for a total of 3 rows, which will be be rows 67, 68, and 69. And then we'll come back and we'll start adding our brick block into the pattern. All right. So, and again, also at the end of every row, you will still have 158 stitches. So go ahead and continue working your single crochets all the way down the row, and I will meet you at the end of row 69 after you've completed 3 rows of single crochet. Love that white up against that teal. That's really pretty. Beautiful, beautiful. We are at the end of row 69. We have done our last single crochet here. So we are going to go ahead and fasten off, give ourselves a little bit of a tail. And then we're going to go ahead and add our next color, which is whatever your color number 8 is. We're going to go right into the top of that last single crochet and add that new color. And we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. My yarn got stuck on the camera. Let me get this blanket positioned in front of the camera. Hopefully I won't tap it like that. Actually, I just hit the light, so it looks like the camera didn't move good. Don't want to make you dizzy. And so just to keep in line with things, we are beginning row 70, and we are working with the back side or wrong side facing us. And let me wrap my tails around because I'm going to secure them in as I have been. All right. And we're going to be working single crochets still, but we're going to change it up a little bit. I'm trying to get some yarn pulled out of the skein here so that I can crochet. All right, I think we're just about settled in here. Sorry about that. And so we're going to come right into the same stitch where we joined, and we're going to work single crochets all the way across this row. However, we're going to change it up, and we're just going to go into the front loop only. And because this is the one that I joined on, it's going to be a little bit tricky getting into that front loop on this first one, but that is the only one that we should have a little bit of a struggle with. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to demonstrate with the next one because it'll be a lot easier to show. All right, so as you can see on the top here, we have what creates like V's, or if you will, even like the bottom half of a heart. See how those are? So see how we've got one loop here and then one loop here on the back? This would be the front loop and this would be the back loop. We're going to work in just this front loop only. So let me show you. So still holding this up, we're going to come right in between those two loops like that and work our single crochet. And there's a reason that we're doing that, and we've done that before on one of the other sections, so it shouldn't be anything new. But before we did it for an effect, this time we're doing it for a purpose. All right? And I'm going to go back because I wasn't actually picking up my strands, but I wanted to be able to demonstrate that. So let me go back and grab my tails this time so I can secure those in. I just didn't want them getting in the way of the demonstration. So now we're coming right back and going in just that front loop, but I'm also going to grab my tails and work those in. I just have to move them out the way to find that front loop and then bring them back to secure them. There we go. And we're just going to do a couple of those to secure our tails in. If you're not securing as you go, of course, you've got them pushed to the back, so you can just keep on going. But for those of us that are securing them as we go, we're just going to work a couple stitches here to get those little guys secured in. And I think I'll do one more, and that should be enough. All right. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug here. And I got a little bit more tail, so I'm going to secure mine in with just a couple more stitches. I mean, they are plenty secured in, but anytime I have anything that's a washable, I always like to really make sure my tails are secured in well. All right, give it one final tug here and double check everything looks tucked in. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these off. And then we're just going to continue all the way down row 70, working single crochets in that front loop only, all the way down, including the very last stitch. So go ahead and complete row 70, working those single crochets in the front loop only. And when you get down to the end of the row, I will meet up with you and I'll tell you how many to chain and what we're going to need to do to work and complete row 71. All right, so we are at the end of row 70. We've worked our last single crochet into that front loop. We are going to chain one and turn our work. And as I'm getting this situated, I don't know what we're going to do when the blanket's almost done. Ah! Have to figure out another way to arrange my camera so our blanket will fit. But we will get it figured out. All right. So we have the front side of our work showing right now. And if you will look, okay, on the other side here, let's see here. Oh, no, right here. My bad. Sorry. And I hope you can see that. Sorry, I didn't mean to shake the camera there, but I hope it's not getting blurry. I'm trying to get closer Let me try doing this. I don't know what the sound effects were. Sorry about that. All right, see how working in that front loop only, it pushed these other loops to the back here? And see how those are kind of sticking out? That is because we are going to end up needing to work in those stitches in just a couple more rows. So how exciting is that? So we will need those little raised bumps in just a little bit. All right, let's get our camera back up here. And I apologize if I'm making you dizzy. It's not the intention. All right. So for rows 71 and 72, we are just going to continue working single crochets. So we're going to start right here in this first one, this first stitch that the chain one is in, and we are going to go under both loops to create that single crochet. So remember, on row 70 we were going under just the front loop only, but now for row 71 and 72 we're going to go under both loops, the front and the back. See how I got both loops? So we're just going to go back like we were before, working single crochets up under both loops. And we're going to do that for the next two rows, which will be rows 71 and 72. At the end of the row, we will chain one, turn our work, and work that first single crochet in the same stitch as the chain one. So go ahead and work these next two rows of single crochets, and I will meet back up with you when we get to the end of row 72 and we have completed that third row using our number 8 color. Now, once you get to the end of row 72, you can go ahead and fasten off your yarn, and then we're going to bring color number 11, which for me is white, back in. So if you want to go ahead and fasten off and go ahead and attach your number 11 color again, then we will be ready to start up and complete the last 3 rows for today. So I will meet you at the end of row 72. See you in just a sec. So we have completed our 3 rows of our yellow or our number 8 color. And now we're ready to begin row 73, and we're going to do row 73, 74, and 75. So to get started, you've got your white or your number 11 color attached again, and we are going to turn our work. And while I'm getting this turned over, just admiring how beautiful our blanket is looking. Absolutely love this. All right. Pick this back up. All right, to get started with this row, let me first bring my tails around so I can tuck them and secure them in as I go. All right. In this first stitch, we are going to make a single crochet, and we are going to go under both loops. So go ahead and go under both loops to create that single crochet. And then go ahead and work a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And this row is going to be made up of single crochets, and we are going to do 1 additional stitch in this row, and it's going to be the treble or triple crochet, however you like to refer to it as. And so if we were doing this pattern by itself outside of the Longmire blanket, after we've made these first 3 single crochets, we would then go ahead and make the bar that starts the brick stitch. And I'm going to show you what that bar is, and that's using the triple treble crochet. However, that pattern, the brick pattern, is worked into multiples of 8. 8 only goes into 158 stitches 19 times, which gives us 152 stitches. And of course, 152 minus 100 from 158 gives us 6 additional stitches. So that means we have to add 3 stitches on both ends for us to compensate for those 6 extra stitches that we have in our Longmire blanket. So instead of starting with 3 single crochets, we're actually going to start with 6. So we're going to go ahead and work 3 more single crochets. So we're starting this row out with a total of 6 on the beginning instead of the 3. And this will help keep our stitches even on both ends. All right, so now this is where we're going to bring in and do our triple treble crochet. And this is also, we're going to use these little bars that we created on the bottom here when we were working only in the first or front loop on that row. So go ahead and yarn over twice to begin your triple or treble crochet, however you want to refer to it. For this tutorial, we're just going to go ahead and refer to it as a treble. So this is our next stitch. So we want to come straight down and go into this loop. But if you're not certain that you're in the right loop, this is the way you can check yourself. You know that we did 6 single crochets. So come down here and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are the 6 bars that represent the 6 single crochets. So to go into the next one, it'll line up with that stitch. But that's one way just to make sure. So to go into that stitch, we're going to come up underneath and go from the bottom to the top. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook. Okay, we're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2. We have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the next 2, and 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. And that's created our treble and our first, what we're going to call a bar. Okay, now when you're working it, it might pull that loop up like that. Let me bring my camera down just a little bit so you can see this a lot easier. All right, and let me adjust this. I want to make sure it's not coming in blurry. Oh, that was blurry. There we go. All right, see how it's kind of pulling that loop up a little bit? We don't want that. So just kind of loosely pull that back down and keep that stitch kind of loose right there. Now let's pull it forward. If you look, there is a stitch right here. We're going to skip this stitch because that's where our bar stitch is going to lay across. And that counts as a stitch. So if we put one back here behind it, that's actually creating 2 stitches. And we only want 1 stitch representing that space. So we're going to skip that one. Let me get my tails here. So we're going to skip that one and we're going to go into the next one and create a single crochet. And this is where we're going to start our repeat pattern. So that was 1. We're going to do it a total of 7 times. So here's 2 and 3 and 4 5, and 6, trying to work around those tails, and 7. Okay, all right. I'm going to grab these little end tails right there, and just that little tiny bit I'm going to clip off. All right. And now it's time to create another bar. So we're going to yarn over twice, and if we come to this stitch right here, and if we follow it down, this is going to be the little bar strip that we're going to go through, or loop. But to make sure, we can come back over here to where this one was and go to the next one, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did 7 single crochets, so that ends our 7th one. So that means the very next one is the one we're going to work in. And again, we're going to come and we're going to go from the bottom up to the top, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. All right, we don't want that pulled up like that, so we're just going to kind of bring it back down. And again, we're going to skip the one behind it here, and we're going to go right into the next one and do 7 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. And now it's time to make the next bar post. So if you'll notice, from here to here, not counting this one, that is a total of 8 stitches. And if you count this one and the 7 that we just did, that's going to be 8. So from bar to the last stitch before the next bar is 8 stitches. All right, you're going to do that all the way across. So you're going to continue this pattern all the way down to the end. And when you're done, you're going to have a total of 19 bars with 7 stitches in between. And so the only time you will not have 7 stitches between a bar is at the very beginning and the very end. You will only have 6 stitches on each end of the blanket. So go ahead and complete this row, and I will meet up with you at the end, and we'll come back together and discuss how many chains we need to make and what we need to do to complete the last 2 rows. So we're at the end of the row here, and again, you should have 19 of these bars going across, 7 stitches in between each of them, and 6 single crochet stitches on the end of each side of your blanket. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Try not to bump the camera and make you dizzy. And of course, the bars and the posts there were made with the front side of the blanket showing, the right side. We're now on the back side or the wrong side. And we're just going to come right into that first stitch that the chain one was made in and do a single crochet. And then we're going to do a single crochet all the way down row 74, chain one, and then turn the work and do a single crochet in each stitch, including the chain one space, all the way down row 75. And this will complete our section for today. So when you get to the end of row 75, you can go ahead and fasten off, and I will come back and meet up with you at that point. So go ahead and finish rows 74 and 75, doing a single crochet all the way across the row, and I will meet up with you at the end of row 75. So here we are at the very end, and this is what our blanket looks like so far, and I think that is really, really cool. That looks really, really good. All right, well, this has been part 12 of the Longmire Blanket, and I hope you had fun and enjoyed the brick stitch, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Stay tuned to see who wins on Friday night's movie night and gets to pick our next color segment. Again, we are thankful to Jen Reeves and Roseann Alexander for their participation and for winning and picking our colors. And again, my name is Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations. This is the Longmire Blanket, and have a great week. Be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, make your own joyful creations, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.